Let me paint you a picture that I hear over and over again from people who eventually find their way to me. You're in the middle of a divorce. You have an attorney that you were referred to. You're paying them probably way more than you ever imagined that you'd be paying anyone for anything. And something comes up. A question, a worry, something your spouse's attorney said, something your mom told you, something a coworker mentioned, or maybe something that you read at 2 a.m. that has you completely spiraling, and you want to call your attorney to run it by them. But then you think, that's $300 an hour, or $400, and you don't even know if your question is worth asking. So you don't call. You sit with it, you stew, you ask your sister instead, or your best friend, or your dad, or your coworker, and they tell you what they think with total confidence, and you feel a little bit better. Except the advice they gave you might be completely wrong, and now you've been operating on bad information for 3 weeks. That cycle right there, that's exactly why divorce coaches exist. Here's something nobody tells you when you hire a divorce attorney. They really are not your support system. They are not your therapist. They are not your sounding board for every fear and question that comes up at 11 o'clock at night. They are a legal professional whose sole job is to represent you in the legal process. And every single minute of their time costs money. Every email you send, every phone call. And that creates this painful dynamic that I see constantly. People are paying for an attorney, but they're afraid to use them. They're rationing their access to this person who is supposed to be helping them navigate the most complicated legal process of their life, because every email, every phone call, every quick question has that dollar sign attached to it. So what happens? They go quiet. They make assumptions. They make decisions without all of the information, or they turn to people around them, family, friends, people who love them and want to help them, and they get advice that feels good, but isn't always grounded in reality. And then they bring that advice to their attorney, and the attorney has to spend billable time walking them back from it. I've seen people rack up thousands of dollars in legal fees chasing strategies that were never going to work. Not because their attorney didn't warn them, but because someone in their life had planted a seed and they couldn't let it go. Can we talk about the advice that friends and family give, just for a little bit? Because I say this with a lot of love. They mean well. They are in your corner. They are angry on your behalf. And that is a good thing. We want people to support us. But angry on your behalf is not the same thing as accurate. Here is what I hear all the time. Someone finds out their spouse cheated, and their best friend, fuming, righteous, protective, says, you deserve the whole house. You should get everything. Make them pay. Or a spouse spent recklessly throughout the marriage, ran up debt, maybe even hid money, and a family member says, you should get the entire retirement account. They spent your money for years. Now it's your turn. I understand why that feels right. I really do. But here's the thing. Divorce doesn't work on the principle of punishment. The courts really don't care who cheated. They don't care who behaved the worst. In most states, infidelity has zero bearing on how assets are divided. The court doesn't award the house or the retirement account as a moral verdict on your marriage. It divides marital property according to law. So when someone goes into their attorney's office armed with advice from their brother-in-law and says, I want the whole house and all of the 401k, and I want it because he cheated, the attorney now has to spend time, your money, walking that back, managing the expectation. And sometimes the client pushes back because their family was so certain. And now there's conflict within the attorney-client relationship. That is a very expensive conversation that did not need to happen. There is a phrase I like to use with a lot of clients, and some clients even come to me with this. You don't know what you don't know about divorce. And I mean that completely genuinely, not as a criticism, but as a reality check. Most people going through divorce have never done it before. You don't know how asset division actually works. You don't know the difference between legal separation and divorce in your state. You don't know what a quadro is, or why it matters for your retirement accounts, or for your future a long time from now. You don't know what marital waste means legally. You don't know that the parenting plan that you agree to now can be kind of hard to change later on. You don't know, and you don't know that you don't know these things. So you fill in the blanks with what feels logical, with what your friend told you, with what your emotions tell you, with what you read in a forum at midnight on Facebook when you're scrolling your phone, with what happened to your coworker's cousin. And some of that will be right, but a lot of it will be dangerously wrong. And you won't know which is which until you're already so far down the road. A divorce coach helps you figure out the questions that you should be asking before you ask them to your attorney at $350 an hour. We help you understand the landscape so you can use your attorney's time on what actually matters. We help you filter the noise, the well-meaning but often misguided advice, the emotional decisions dressed up as a strategy, so that you can walk into every conversation with your attorney grounded and prepared. So let me just say plainly what a divorce coach is. A divorce coach is a trained professional who helps you navigate the emotional, practical, and strategic dimensions of divorce without the billable hours. We're not attorneys. We don't give legal advice. In fact, I tell my clients all the time, I will not answer legal questions. We're not therapists. I'm not going to toe that line either. We don't do clinical mental health work. What we do is we sit in that space between the two things, the space where most of the actual confusion, the overwhelm, and bad decision making happens. We help you process where you're feeling so it doesn't hijack your decisions. We help you understand the general landscape of divorce so that you can have more productive conversations with your attorney. We help you sort out what advice from your circle, your family and friends is useful and what maybe we can set aside. We help you think clearly when everything around you is feeling like chaos. And I do it for a flat fee. I think most people do, or a package rate, maybe an hourly rate, but it's not going to be $350 an hour, which means you can actually ask all of the questions. You can call when something comes up. You can think out loud without watching the clock. I like to say your attorney is a surgeon. I'm the person helping you understand what's happening, why it's happening, and how to prepare for each step, so that when you're in the surgeon's office, you're not wasting time on things that don't belong there. If any part of what I described today sounds familiar, the fear of calling your attorney, the conflicting advice from people that care about you so much, and they want the best for you, the sense that you're making decisions without a full picture, I want you to know that is not a personal failing. That's just what divorce looks like for most people. It's confusing, it's expensive, it's emotionally overwhelming, and nobody prepares you for it. That's why coaching exists, and that's why I've decided to do this work. If you're curious about whether coaching is right for your situation, I would love to talk. I offer free consultation, no pressure, just a real conversation about where you are and what you need and where you want to go. The link to schedule is in the description, or you can send me a message. If this was useful, I would love for you to subscribe. I put out new videos every week with practical, real guidance for exactly where you are in the divorce process. I'll see you in the next